that deserves a round of applause. Today's Makita.
I feel so blessed. Even though I wasn't able to relax, like I think that's usually the bubbly has spilled over. Just in case you weren't aware, these drinks, we are taking a little small sip. I'm not encouraging drinking, by the way, but I just wanted to share that. As my co-host has stepped away, I will continue to hang on and share a few things with you. So, on the political end of things, many of you already know that I am a fundraiser. Currently, I'm working with a candidate that's running for state senate in South Florida's Senate District 40. And in 2 days, we will have the primary election. It's official. It's been pretty fantastic. Today, I went to 2 churches. I think our campaign might have covered about 8 churches, going and reminding folks. The Sunday before the elections is typically called Souls to the Polls, which it really focuses its attention on the African American communities and the different communities that attend church, and we're trying to remind that big group of people to go to the voting booths immediately after church service. But I thought it was very interesting. I took the time to visit 2 churches. These pastors and these congregations are very active in South Miami, and so I really, really appreciate it. It was a great experience today. We also, we were at a polling or across the street from a polling location, and we were having a little barbecue. So we were having hot dogs, hamburgers, and some spicy fries with water and stuff. It was pretty hot. And again, we're in South Florida, so South Florida in July, it's either extreme rain or extreme heat, and we started to get a little bit of both. So that's where we are. And so
Meanwhile,
Melanie
was home.
Meanwhile, cooking for her birthday. Oh my goodness! Let me tell you. And
we're going to get into the topic, but
Chef du jour. Kudos, Melanie. That food was so yummy.
Oh, you're welcome.
And there's cake, and I love anyone that knows me knows that I love chocolate. Chocolate. Anything. My heart is just so warm and fuzzy and filled with a lot of love. So thank you, Melanie.
Oh, I got to give a shout out. Shout out to the Shin hosters. We had our family reunion this weekend, baby. They turned out.
Oh my God. I don't think I've ever been to a family reunion.
It was packed.
Wow. That's great.
Packed. And before we get into our segment, I mentioned this to Makita last show that I didn't do this, but I know some people probably now she know that was her husband. And we had a guest on our show last week, and when my husband and I are in work mode, we try to keep it very professional. So he was a guest on the show, and I didn't really think that was the time to say, but some of you probably put 2 and 2 together. Some of you listening probably know us, but yes, I am the wife of Jay Shin, Jonathan Shinholster. And when we're in work mode, we have a company called Team Shin Enterprises. And so both of us have our own passions, and we have certain things that fall under the umbrella of Team Shin Enterprises. But when he's doing his job, that's his lane. And when I'm doing my job, I stay in my lane. But I don't want anybody to think that, she didn't even say nothing about her husband or nothing like that. But he's very supportive of the show. He does things for us behind the scenes. But again, we try to keep it very professional.
Yes, you did. I mean, I probably, if that was my boo, a husband, I would have Very well said, you know. And this is my boo.
Yeah, well, he knows. He knows what he is. But I wanted to make sure I cleared that up.
Well, it's clear.
Okay.
So, appreciate you.
All right.
So, let's go with the topic. Like we said before, we had invited some guests, but unfortunately, it's the summer and, you know, everyone is starting to do vacations and cruises and all types of different activities. And so, we don't have any female
We
boss
do have
chicks.
some people coming to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, we have
so they
people
might
coming to celebrate.
actually walk in.
Maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. In the meantime, we're just going to do, you know, what we do best, and that's think on our feet and ask each other questions because, again, both Melanie and myself are women entrepreneurs.
Yes. And we thought having guests on the show would be a good way to promote our sisters and their businesses.
Absolutely.
And maybe we'll have another segment at a later time to showcase some of
absolutely
the women. And if you're here, if you're logged in, if you want to say anything, I'm sending a message right now saying hello world.
Hello.
And go ahead and comment on the comment section, and if it's something that you want us to mention or say in this segment, go ahead, and we'll try to give you a shout out.
Great. So let's begin. Again, I see myself as the Jamaican Oprah, and so I do try to draw inspiration from people that's had like great successes. It doesn't have to be monumental successes as Oprah, but again, you want to shoot for the stars, and that's where I'm shooting.
Girl, we don't be big in that Oprah. What you talking about?
Fingers crossed. So I'm actually on Oprah's site right now, Oprah.com, and I thought it was really interesting. This was just one of those, it's just that plain. Women entrepreneurs, and it kind of highlights a few people. Let me just read this one thing that came, that kind of popped up, because I don't think that people really understood, how certain things come about. So, nothing to squeeze at. I'm sorry, this subject says nothing to sneeze at. Victoria Knight McDowell. Who is that? She is the CEO of Airborne Inc. So Victoria Knight McDowell was a second grade teacher who kept catching colds from her students. So she came up with her own preventive remedy, which includes vitamins A, C, and E, 7 herbal extracts, antioxidants, electrolytes, and amino acids called Airborne, which now brings in $100 to $100 million annually. She stopped teaching to run the company with her husband and care for their son, Harold. And I think a big part to becoming entrepreneurs is, do you have the time to do it? Why start a business? I think we're preaching to the choir, or maybe a lot of people do understand that it's pretty hard to just live off of your salary alone. I mean, it can even trickle down in why people stay in relationships, because they feel like they can't do it on their own. And that's just something, again, things that I've noticed, and I know for myself, I'm living with my siblings. I don't have a husband. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And so, but again, in today's, the average salaries is really not enough to live on your own, it seems. I was just surprised earlier this evening because some childhood friends of mine, actually from college, came to visit, and one of them lives in New York, has been living in New York for like the last 15 or so years. And I happened to ask them, or maybe he was just talking in general, like how things are going and what he's up to. And he said something about moving to Jersey. And so he moved to Jersey, where he's paying $1,300 in rent. And he said, I can't afford to buy a home, or the average home in, I guess, the area that he's in, or in the area that he is. And he's like, those are decent houses, or like over $1 million. Mm-hmm. So, you think about those prices and then you think about the average salaries. And so that is precisely why we're talking about, as a female, being an entrepreneur, and not necessarily for it to be your main business, but a kind of way to supplement your income, in addition to even being, you may have some creative juices. And so let me ask you, Melanie, what made you decide to spread your wings? You're already an educator. You're making I won't say a decent salary, but you're earning a salary. What made you decide that you want to do another business or start another business?
Okay, so anyone that knows me knows that since probably I was a little girl, I've always had a passion for decorating. And my mom was always a decorator. She was always into, creating different looks in our house and always getting compliments when people came over. So I think I kind of got it from her. But my mom, those of you that don't know, my mom died about 3.5 years ago. She died of ALS. And when she was sick, I got the jolt to start CHIC Decor. And because before she got sick, we used to always say when she retired, we would start an interior decorating business together. So before she died, I just decided, you know what? I want my mom to see that I've started, the business. And so for me, passion and purpose was what generated my desire to want to start my business. I'm a strong believer that you only get one life to live, and everybody has something that they know is their thing, that when you're doing that thing, you don't have a concept of time. You will not rest, or it doesn't feel like work. And for me, that thing is, and has always been, decorating. So I started decorating for friends, as a favor, or decorating my house. Even in college, like my roommate and our apartment was always laid out. It's like just that thing that I know God put me on this earth for. And I'm sure many of you are like me. You have a lot of different talents and a lot of different things that you're good at. I think I'm a pretty good teacher, and I love teaching, which is why because a friend asked me to tutor her daughter, it lended itself to a tutoring company, and I love doing it. But I know my true passion, the thing that I don't need any sleep. I can stay up all night, and my husband's like, do you not know what time it is? And it's rejuvenating for me, and just for me finding the best deal and putting things together like that aren't necessarily, that you won't find together. That's like my drive. So I don't know. I just feel that when you have something, everybody has that something.
Yes.
That's how I decided, okay, this something is what I'm going to start my business in. And I don't care how long it takes, because I know a lot of people, they go in it for the money. Okay. And I truly feel that might not be the right reason to go in it, because you may not see the rewards monetarily right away. However, when you stick to what you know God designed you to do, like that's your gift, eventually it will reap the benefits. I remember I went to when Oprah Winfrey came. I went to her show. That it was like a weekend, and that's what she said. She said she never did it. She never started doing what she was doing for the money. She was always told eventually the money will come.
Yeah.
But she just stuck to what she knew she was put on this earth to do, and that was to talk, but not just talk. Help people while she's talking. And eventually it just It took time, but it manifested monetarily.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, honestly, my tutoring company probably brings more reward financially right now than my interior decorating. But I'm not gonna stop.
And you shouldn't stop. Let me tell you, in light of, it might have sound, you didn't hear any and whatever. Listen, we are doing this. It's just a 2-woman show.
Yes.
And so we do have guests coming in. And so I had to bounce out for a second. Melanie had to bounce out a little bit. So, you know, again, we are developing this show from our hearts.
Yes.
And, you know, I can speak for myself. Let me be real.
We always real. I had somebody ask, before you start, don't forget your thought. Somebody asked that was supposed to come on the show, what do I need to know? Like, what should I talk about? It's like, that's one of our rules.
Yeah.
We don't give you prior questions.
No.
We don't want you to overthink. We want you to sincerely speak from your heart when you're on this show.
And you know what? That's not an easy thing for everyone, so I get that. But that's why, you know, again, this is a show in development. That may change. As of today, this is how we're rolling.
I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not changing that. Because this is like, we want to build a listener pool where it's real.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
We want to speak from the heart.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. So, scratch what I just said.
No, because we always speak from the heart.
That's
this
true,
show is built on our relationship and
yes.
our friendship and having girl talk. So,
yeah, but what I'm saying is,
ahead,
we have some friends that are very intelligent, that has a lot of things to express and share, but may not be completely comfortable in this type of setting to like say what they want to say because they like being in structured situations.
Oh, and I understand. I'm saying between you and I.
Oh, you and I, like,
yeah,
no, we don't.
Okay.
I mean, somebody asks me a question, I'm going to answer it. I'm going to try to do it in the best light as possible, I guess.
Right.
Because
but I get
again,
that.
we're just being mindful. Yeah, and what prime example, no shade, but we had a recent guest that really I had a very high expectation. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay,
that's not what we do.
All we're gonna do is encourage our guests
yes.
to speak from the heart. Now, what they say, we cannot make them. We cannot force them.
No.
However, of course, it should be eloquently done, and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. I guess my point is, I'm not into the script thing. Like, I'm not going to send you a script before you come on the show. I'm going to give you a general topic of what we're discussing, and then, you know, we have like an open format. It's like we're talking, we're conversating as if we were sitting, you know, down eating dinner.
Of course. So, you know, so look, we may not be politically correct with what we say and how we say it, but we're just speaking from the heart and just sharing our thoughts with you all, and I hope you continue on this journey. So that's where we are. I just wanted to say that, which I probably said already, but I just took another bite out of my cake, and it is so yummy. So anyway, so like I was saying before, there were, like I said, I want to be really real. We have a guest. Yeah, I'm not gonna force my girlfriend to talk because she's here to celebrate my birthday. Yay! So anyway, like I was sharing, Melanie just stepped out, so you know she may get. Oh, she's back, and so earlier I said, "Can we be really real?" Like I grew up knowing entrepreneurs all of my life. And, you know, to be honest with you, it wasn't necessarily entrepreneurs that had 9-to-5 jobs or any of that. Some of them were entrepreneurs a la the streets. You know, maybe they did some things that are not of, you know, that may not really have been legal at the time, but now there's industries that are legalized. That's all I will share. And so I've seen these type of characters and other characters. I say characters, but people in my life throughout. Again, I'm Jamaican. You can grasp at however you want to grasp at this. This is just my personal experience. And when I started school, I really didn't know where I wanted to go. And unfortunately, when I started, I ended up stopping for other personal reasons. But then I thought to myself, I am smart. You know, I've always excelled in my education or just in my general personality of getting things done and knowing a lot of people. And so one of my strengths were networking. You know, I would have my mind fixated on something and get it done. My early path to my career was in entertainment by way of working for an underground Caribbean station as their Caribbean journalist. So I was reporting national and international Caribbean news, and I thought that was amazing, but I wasn't getting paid to do it. It was something I wanted to do because it was a passion of mine, but I did see or thought at the time that was going to be the path that I was going to go through. No formal education, just knowing people, connecting the dots, and getting in the door. And that's kind of what segued me into working for a local record label in South Florida, Luke Records and Films. For those that may or may not know, I mean, he's an icon in the entertainment industry. Uncle Luke Campbell, one of the founding members of 2 Live Crew, was my boss. Early 2000s, it was a great opportunity, and I learned a lot, but what I really learned was, again, the re-emphasis on seeing someone that bucked normal trends. He had his own business. This was his show, and it was just, at the time, in-house, like with a revolving third-person operation. We worked with distributors out in LA. We had a booking agency in Philly. We just had I just saw how he was able to keep and maintain his business in the entertainment industry. And shout out to Luke. We also lost an icon that was a part of 2 Live Crew. Fresh Kid Ice recently passed away, and his funeral was this past week. Again, just a reminder about, and when I saw that this pretty much hit national and international news, and people were calling me, again, I haven't worked for the label in like over 10 years, but people were still reaching out to me because, again, those that are in those circles, it's a small crew of people that's actually worked for Luke or in the entertainment industry, even though it seems like there's so many people that's worked in it. So anyway, I'm just saying all of that to say, along the way, all of those little situations kind of brought me to the point where no matter what industry I was going to go into, I thought of it as an opportunity to also figure out some entrepreneurship. How do I do it on my own? Or not on my own necessarily, but as a building block of the things that I've been doing. So
and to piggyback on what you just said, a lot of times what happens is, I've seen this in my life. When you start to connect the dots of why God put you in certain places in different capacities, it should lead you to understanding what your initiative for your business should be. Like, I see that I'm using all of those skills when I'm pursuing my business and developing my business and branding and all of those things. Eventually, your ultimate goal, I think, should be to work for yourself to some capacity. And just to drop some facts, which I found that were very interesting, and I don't know if a lot of you know this. According to National Association of Education Statistics, Black women are the most educated segment within the U.S. population. We are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the U.S. We own 38% of all businesses. The challenges that we're facing is getting investors, getting people to invest and put money behind our businesses.
Agreed. Let me tell you, I started in entertainment. I then left and worked for a PR firm. And when I left there, I said I wanted to start a PR firm. And then I wanted to start an not an entertainment, but an event planning company. And I started it. I at least got to the beginnings of like putting the paperwork together, paying for whatever licenses I need, and realized, even acquired a client or two, but then I realized the sustainability that you need when you have investment funds is crucial. They tell you that, 1 in 5 businesses, I'm throwing out these figures because I did not actually research this myself. 1 in 3 businesses survives their, new launch or I guess makes it to their 3-year mark. So they don't tell you, some of the things that I found don't go into the why. And I found out for myself the why is if you don't have some funds, if you don't have investment that's helping you, market yourself, because there's a whole package that you have to present to potential clients, and just be able to sustain yourself in order to get the company running. It's vital. And what you then look back is, almost historically, African Americans or, blacks in general, we're already at a disadvantage. Our parents are living and dying, and they're either dying with debt that's given to their family. Very few situations are that they're leaving something for the next generation to be in a better situation or to start off in a better situation. Again, I'm saying this out loud because I don't think that we actually pay this enough attention.
Aside from that, we don't help each other.
And we don't help each other.
We don't. It's like crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
We don't want each other to get to the top, which is another reason why Makita and I decided to do this show. Because we're not trying to be, well, let me say this. Let me backtrack. We designed this show to strictly be like a conversation that normally we all have with our girls.
Yes.
At the same time, obviously, we want to promote each other's brand. We both have different passions, different things, endeavors that we're trying to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
So why not team up with another sister and push each other and help each other?
Absolutely.
And I think we need to have that mindset. My husband and I and some family members were in Wynwood yesterday. And it's amazing how about, I would say 6-7 years ago, and I might be wrong the time frame, but how all of a sudden Wynwood is like the most popular
popping
place in South Florida.
Popping.
When I remember when we lived downtown Brickell, it was nothing. All it was graffiti walls.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Scary.
And I know it wasn't a brother or a sister that decided to turn this into.
No.
I mean, we were there. We got there probably like 5 o'clock. That place was packed. People
That's
just
crazy.
walking around looking at art.
Mm-hmm.
And buying food and buying stuff. And I'm like, why didn't we think of this? And the whole conversation, we're driving and walking. After we got out the car, we're talking. We're like, why don't we ever come back in our own communities?
And while you're saying that, I have to give a shout out to Fabiola, who's a part of the Young Chamber, Miami-Dade Chamber, who is one of those young,
Can we get her on the show?
I saw her today at one of the churches I went to.
We need her on the show.
Fabiola, come on the show. Eric Knowles, who is the president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, please, we'd love to have you on the show because I know we're having this conversation and I have been lucky enough to start to get into those circles where I'm seeing folks that look like us, that's working on building and presenting opportunities for Black businesses, minority women, it's out there. And you know what, and that's another thing. I didn't know that this stuff was out there. Me, going and saying I'm going to start an event planning company, me going out and saying I want to start a PR firm. The only thing I knew was, let me network and figure out who's already doing this so that I can work under them and learn and maybe even try and do this myself. And again, maybe, we're not millennials. What are we considered?
Are we Gen X?
So I guess maybe for me, I don't know if that's the mindset of all Gen Xers, but I'm willing to work. I'm humble enough to start from the bottom and build our way up. I definitely do not see that with millennials. I could say that for sure.
Well, let me ask you this too, because another thing I noticed, they're pushing us out of the inner city communities and they're rebuilding.
Absolutely.
Why are we allowing this to happen? Why aren't we rebuilding our own communities? Why we move out west?
Yeah, this is a question. Good question. My girlfriend Valerie in the building.
Somebody in the audience.
Come step to the mic, Val. You were saying
come on
something.
in, boo. You can come on in.
How gentrification works. How gentrification works is that property values go down, property becomes really cheap, and investors go and buy it all up. So neighborhoods,
investors,
right? And it goes back to what you guys were saying earlier. Investors just go buy it all up because the property value is low because of crime.
Mm-hmm.
The neighborhood gets bad and property values get low. It's all a game.
But then they buy
them. Investors have all the money and the capital to buy it all, move everybody out of the neighborhoods because they're selling. People who were living there for years, they're starting to sell it because it's going down. They can't make any money from it. They sell it and they move.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, investors are planning to develop neighborhoods that people have grown up in.
Mm-hmm.
So,
same thing with the schools.
Can
y'all bring y'all kids back to the inner city and stop taking them to all these other schools, please?
There's good teachers out there.
I'm one. I know a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I think it's a parenting issue. I don't think that it's a teacher issue. The parents need to re-emphasize what's being taught in the schools and be on top of their children like our parents were on top of us.
And I'm sorry. Listen, again, I'm not a teacher. I'm not in teacher mode right now. I'm in girl what mode. And what I'm saying is, bring y'all kids back to the schools you all went to. Because that is where your child is going to get the nurturing, the teaching. They're not going to be pushed to the side. Mm-hmm. They care about your child. I'm not saying the other teachers in other schools don't, but why not bring your child back to the schools all of us went to?
Yeah. And I see that, I started my education outside of, after high school in Atlanta, attending an HBCU. I did start for my first year at Clark Atlanta University. And at the time I was there as a biology major. The School of Biology would have been the first accredited class if I had stayed and graduated there. And I was like, I loved Atlanta. I was homesick at the end of the day. So I ended up coming back home, transferred to Florida State where it was a 360, holy crap.
I went there.
These people, chew you up and spit you out. And there's, it was just a very different environment. I realized at that very moment, and I know we're going into a whole different topic,
but all of these things built us to be who we are
absolutely. Now. I really, it was funny when I wasn't even passing a drama class that, you really realize how different the teaching systems are for someone of, a minority that's used to going to predominantly Black schools and education. I see it with, we're in our late to early 40s, and I see that with my counterparts that went to and graduated from HBCUs and how they have the confidence. And I'm not saying that if you don't go to an HBCU, you don't have it. But I don't see I see the pride in certain schools. But in general, like, man.
And I let me just say, because I too went to Florida State. I graduated from Florida State. However, I will say this. I finished in 4 years, but I had to have a network of my own. Mm-hmm. And maybe becoming a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. That was a network. You know, like, that helped me. I had my line sisters. I had friends. Like, we had to really, like, I really got involved with the Black Student Union. Mm-hmm. So if it was not for those entities, I probably would have been lost too. But again, I did not come from a high school that was all African American. Yeah. So I kind of was used to
those environments.
Being in an environment where I got to kind of like step up and hold my own because I was in a class with all kinds.
Yeah.
At that time, my high school was predominantly white.
Yeah.
And even in elementary school, I went to a predominantly white school. And that was because my mom was so militant. And she was one who fought for integration at her school. She was one of the first Black students in her high school in Georgia.
History.
So she was like, she didn't want me to only be at Black schools. So she always put me in schools that were typically predominantly white because she wanted, I guess she had her own thing that she wanted to prove that my child can do the same things y'all doing. I don't know, but it's true. You have to have some type of network. And the same thing applies as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. You
have to have sisters, and I just wish that I wish we didn't compete with each other so much, that we built each other up and we try to, you know, combine our purposes and push each other. And I don't think that happens enough.
And as a segue, I want to shout out a couple of girlfriends. I'm not going to get everyone, and I do apologize.
I ain't even going to try.
I won't do it.
Because people get offended.
I don't want anyone to be upset.
I ain't even going to do it.
But I love acknowledging my sisters, especially those that are doing amazing things. And people that are just doing good things. Yes. I mean, and there's too many to say right now.
So we'll just say we're thankful for our circle.
Yeah. Our circles are awesome.
Yeah, they are. Our circles are awesome.
And our hair is awesome.
And we're awesome.
And we're awesome. We're silly. But let me ask this other question to the group. And I don't see anyone adding
I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why they're not talking. Can y'all talk to us, please?
It'll
comments.
Eventually. Yeah, we are live, people. We are live.
LIVE. Can y'all please talk to us?
So, but it is what it is. But here's a question. How do we achieve life and work balance?
You know what? You and I right here. That's what I was on. God damn it. Especially when you married, girl. How do you do it? How do I do it?
How do you do it?
How do I cook, clean,
yes,
fold clothes, and come in here for a show?
Yes. Tell us.
And keep a husband. How do I do that? Child. I don't even know. God.
Basically, we don't. There isn't a balance. There's just trying to
teach.
I think I can speak for myself. When you are a political operative, like I said, right now I'm working full time as a campaign finance director. You don't have time to do anything else. Me coming in and being dedicated to us doing this podcast is just God.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
We look forward to it. I'm now starting to kind of hint to my candidate and folks that, hey, I have a little podcast. And, hey, we're on iHeartRadio.
We have our meetings on Marco Polo.
So, so I'm not taking away from the campaign because anyone that's worked on political campaigns knows that it's all in. It could be 12 plus hour days. 16-hour day. No, that's real.
For real.
Like, typically I get in at like 9 o'clock. If it's 9 o'clock and I'm leaving, that is average. That's on average. But I consciously try to leave a little bit early because, I've been doing this for a while and I just need to decompress. Like now I try and think of it as, how do I work at my top capacity and be productive at the same time? And I know my mind is also running on this show and other things that I'd like to do. I'd love to spend some time with my nephew. And I'd love to kind of have dinner with someone or go on a date.
You need to work on that.
I'm trying to work on
that.
that.
You know what? That's key. You got to have a good support system. Shout out to my husband. For real. Because...
Shout out to Jay.
For real, like, he's understanding. He's very understanding, but because it's not easy being married to me. It's not. I do some of his management. I teach. I tutor kids. We have people in and out the house because we have a home office.
Yes.
Again, when you're an entrepreneur, think smart. Don't do dumb because you see everybody else.
Don't rent an office if you can't.
You only have to
Budget.
I was always told, keep your overhead costs low. That's the key. So if I have a house and I can, of course I filter who's coming in. If I don't feel comfortable, if I don't know you, most of my tutoring clients are referrals from people that I know, or if I feel comfortable, then you come to the home office. Mm-hmm. If not, then I meet you elsewhere. However, my husband, we have to kind of support each other. Because he gets busy, I get busy. But I guess you just have to keep in mind, yes, you are a wife. So you need to make sure you make that time. It's all about balance.
Yeah.
And then trying to be cute and work out. And it's a lot.
And listen, that's definitely one of the current struggles I have is not being able to find time to work out. I started, upping my working out activity back in December. I was doing up to 5 miles a day, on average 3 to 5. It wasn't often that I was hitting the 5 because I knew that was a little extra. But now working on the campaign, it's like, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep and, have enough rest so I can get up and do this 12 plus hour day. Now until Tuesday, and then maybe, have a couple of days because my candidate is going to win.
Yeah.
Have a couple of days off and then be back on full force until September, until the general election.
And when you partner up with somebody, know each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
And be able to,
But when you're single, sometimes you tend to work.
Come on, boo. Come
Well,
on.
now when you're single, you tend to kind of focus on work a lot because that's all you have.
Yeah.
So you just work and work and work, and you wake up and it's like, ooh, I'm here by myself.
Yeah.
So single.
You gotta make time.
You gotta make time.
I am trying to make time for dates.
Yeah.
I'm wanting to make time for dates, but you have to ask. We're gonna
have a dating show.
We're gonna have a date. We're gonna have a dating relationship.
People asking us to do a relationship show. Like, for real, I get texts. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Can you talk about this? Relationship. It's coming. We're just trying to get some people to be on board on the show, because I know you all don't want to just hear Keita and I's perspective.
Yeah.